Welcome to the Innovation World Young Collaborator podcast series. Hello, everyone. I'm Sid here, and today I'm with Nirbhuy Arun, a 10-year-old gifted Davidson Young Scholar, a medicine who lives in Richland, Washington, USA. He is interested in solving complex problems and has a deep passion in understanding the role of AI in medicine. He loves to work on embedded systems and spends his time researching math and loves to explore maps. I've met him numerous times during gift sessions, and in these few years, I've watched as he's created more and more complex innovations, and it has really been an honor to watch his growth. The podcast of today is titled "Young Innovator with Limitless Potential." Nirbhuy Arun. So, hello. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you for having me today. Hi, I'm Nirbhuy, and I believe Sid covered most of this. But I am from Richland, Washington, and yes, I am a Davidson Young Scholar. And I love having Sid here. I'm really excited for this podcast.
It's very nice, Nirbhuy. I'm very happy to podcast you. You've had so many achievements, and I've seen there's these paragraphs or something that you wrote for some answers to some questions, and I was just like so perplexed by it, and the way you put all those details, I really appreciate how in depth you go with your answers. How and when did you first get into innovating?
So, the innovation journey for me is quite a long story, yet I can keep it short here. Um, I started off, it all started off when I was 18 months old, to be very honest. And I was uh, looking at a periodic table. That's where it all started. My mom just showed it to me, like by accident. And then I started getting interest from it. And then the idea of design started picking up in me. And from there was my interest in subjects like autonomous vehicles, which I began to modify toy trucks um, for as a prototype for safety, and that's how it all started. But then that was how I got my first gift innovation, which is what actually created a big impact. The very first big impact um, innovation that I had. And that was also based on my inspiration for automated vehicles. And that was the Scooty brush. So, in brief terms, that was my first ever innovation. And that has continued with me for a very long time.
That is, uh, at 18 months or like in past, kids would be learning the alphabet, or not alphabet, learning words, and you already jumped ahead to designing. It's a fantastic start, and you've been doing a lot from that. So, can you please tell our audience about what I consider one of your biggest achievements, your Kids for Urban Trees program?
Um, yes, that is a really big topic. It has been going around for a bit. So, Kids for Urban Trees was initially just a what if statement. It was at a time when I was just in pre kindergarten that I realized that why are these play structures, why are the fences of my school, of my preschool, so hot? Like, it's a once or twice a year thing that I would actually notice these play structures being so hot. Except it was picking at my mind for quite a few years. And that was quite a passive what if until I realized that this problem had a greater influence in what people do every day, and that is walking outside, doing daily tasks, going to the grocery store. And it was a science, like a science project that it came from. But then, from a science project, it translated a very long way to community impact. And that's when we involved stewards, real environmental stewards, who are basically kids who really wanted to join in to this environmental journey, came in and started planting trees. They had experiences, real life experiences of what it is to feel a heat burn. And from there, Kids for Urban Trees has impacted me a lot.
That is amazing. Not just an innovator, but a wildlife preserver, somebody that like a naturist, a nature activist. I don't know. There are many words to describe what you've been doing, but gathering up kids and showing that even the smallest of the peoples is because kids are small can make a huge impact. That's really what Kids for Urban Trees is about, and I really think that's amazing. So, how did it feel winning the $10,000 Barron Prize from this?
That is an excellent question because I still believe that and caring for the environment is not a specialized duty that requires that requires like a project oriented mindset. More in specific, I mean that caring for the environment is a duty that we all have as a part of our life, and it's a major part of our life as well. And that being honored for such a duty is feeling like a real big thank you for those who really want to encourage supporting the environment. That's and as I just told in many places, small changes to what happens every day, such as planting a tree or changing your energy intake, can make a very large impact on what is to our entire society. And being honored for that was very, very much a moment of awe for us.
So there is still hope in this world. Nice that you consider helping as an innate duty rather than something that you should pursue for awards. Not like a trade-off, but something that you should do. I really like that. What is the most valuable lesson that you have learned so far that continues to guide you towards your goals?
Yeah, that's a great question. And here, regarding this question, I believe that one major aspect of this is that for a certain period of time. You keep working at a steady pace for in innovation, but then you realize that the market is getting hot. And then when the market is getting hot, you realize you need to spend at least 8 hours a day trying to make it to a very successful innovation. And this, the statement that I'm saying is all possible till the day because of one quote that I heard, apparently from my mom, when I was age 4. And it was a must quote. So, and that has impacted my life a lot because his quote is to never give up. And even when it's 11 o'clock at night and things still need to go forward more, it becomes essential to never give up all the
Never,
time.
yeah, never give up is it's a it's a line that really evokes a passion for perseverance and knowing that in dark times no one give up. It's such a small, it's just 3 words, but the meaning of it can influence pages on pages of history texts and the future. For my next question, what are some other prestigious competitions that you've won?
Yes, that's a great question. Um, so as you may have heard, audience, about um, in addition to the president's environmental awards that we got for environment on gift, that I've done many presentations on embedded systems and medicine. That's a major track that has also been parallel to my environmental efforts. So I can't list all of them at once because it would take a bit of a time. But this journey with innovation world has and gift has took me a very far way with several competitions in both medicine and health, and also in environmental and green energy efforts.
That's very interesting. What has your favorite innovation or experience been till date? Has it been your first one or something more recent?
It's an amazing question because there have been several innovations. Um, so one of my favorite innovations must be till date this Scotty bubble blower. And you're having a very accurate guess, Sid, when you were asking about Scotty bubble blower before. And it has made such an impact because that is the very first time when I had an eye opener to what is programming. I mean, there has been the humidifier project, but more than that, as I told, the autonomous vehicle passion how does this work, was all revealed out. All of my curiosities, all my what ifs, all my questions were revealed in a blow with Scooty Bubble Blower because it has neurology, a part of it, for artistic kids, which is the problem we're trying to solve. That's a major recent passion of mine. And then it also has embedded systems with programming and hardware, giving me an eye opener to not only how the brain responds to certain methods of technology, but also gives an eye opener to how do I make these autonomous systems. So such aspects combined has given me a lot of um, a lot of passions that I have today, to be very honest.
Well, the start of the journey is most oftentimes the most important part of it. Well,
Sure.
it seems that your Scooty Bubble Blower has rolled together hardware learning, coding, and psychology all into one, which I consider amazing because most innovations really focus on one aspect. Yours just combines them all together, and I think it's really amazing. Now, moving on to one of your next innovations, let's talk about your steam methane reformer. And let's start with my first question. In what ways do you envision your greener transportation energy having a positive impact on our world in the coming years?
Yeah, that's a great question. By the way, just to clarify, so that I'm not falsifying any information, that steam methane reforming is not specifically my own innovation. Rather, if you have seen in the news, it's you might have seen an intro that was given by my mentor about all my innovations that I've done in the past. But the person who introduced me there in the stage in front of the news was actually one of the co-innovators of steam methane, of their steam methane reforming microchannel technology. Rather, I am an intern to their company, just to clarify. So, and I'm not paid, by the way. So, I'm an unpaid volunteer intern. So, I believe steam methane reforming is has had a lot of modifications over time, especially not because it's the conventional steam methane reforming, but because it is the real new method of steam methane reforming, which is the microchannel technology, which I'm not going to disclose too much about. But I believe it will improve our environment in a great method because it's carbon negative, purely carbon negative. And to clarify on what that means, there is more carbon intake that is put into the process than there is put out. So with that, we can, over time, reduce our methane levels in our atmosphere but equivalently, we'll get more carbon but not as bad as the methane itself. So I believe we can significantly curtail or slow down the global warming trend with steam methane, the carbon negative approaches of steam methane reforming.
Thank you for the answer. I'm sure there's a lot of classified information in the steam methane reformer, so I do not want to pry anymore because I don't want to get you kicked out from being an intern. So, let's talk about a topic of slightly greenery, or greenery topics like eco-friendly. How do you think classrooms can merge eco-friendly activities and the regular classroom schedules together to create a more environmentally aware next generation of students?
Yes, that's a great point. And that's one thing that Kids for Urban Trees has indeed been doing all these years. So, to an um, give a brief synopsis of what we've been doing is that we've been going to schools and in the middle of their school day, in an approachable time, all of the children, the entire school would come in the entire of Eastern Washington, in fact, um, and they would come to their playground to touch the tree and, um, in fact, even plant it on their own into the soil. And so that's one very, very important and notable impact that we, as Kids for Urban Trees ourselves, are creating for the classrooms. And from then on, we've seen that these classrooms, especially in our school, have grown significantly more caring to trees and have gotten a feel that they have been significantly improved in their empathy to the environment.
A slide of a follow-up on your response. Do you think such activities should be voluntary by the students or made compulsory by the schools?
I mean, that's a very sliding scale question, to be very honest. What I mean by that is that whether it should be mandatory or optional is at the jurisdiction of the schools themselves. But I would believe that the empathy that kids will develop over time, either ways, will be extremely beneficial, no matter whether it's optional or compulsory. So I leave it up to the schools to make it uh, optional or mandatory.
That's an interesting response. So now let's go to more questions about your opinion. If you were to collaborate with anyone on any exciting future project, who would it be and what would you create?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm reading this book called Deep Medicine. It is by one of the world's most renowned cardiologists. Yeah, one moment. Yep. It's deep medicine. It's by one of the top 10 most cited doctors in the entire world. And he's a renowned um, cardiologist with over 365,000 citations. And uh, my goal over time is to make medicine over time more sustainable. So that today patients are disconnected to their doctors. They are absolutely frozen. They're so disconnected that the doctor is working in one side of the lab with a bunch of papers, and at the other, the patient is just bored watching at the time. And then, with the frustration of so many lab results that doctors face and so much reading they have to do, they are so burned out that they over time start, without their knowing, lose their own empathy to their patients. And they don't even get the chance to show their empathy, which is a great problem in the medical system today. And so that's what Dr. Topol mentions. And I support that, which is why I want to really connect with him for future projects.
That's an amazing aspiring goal. Yeah, just always look to the stars, hoping you'll reach them, I guess. So on to my next question. Can you describe the best feedback or compliment that you've received so far in your innovating career?
That's a great question as well. It's a very hard choice to choose from now because I've got lots of compliments, and one of the compliments that I really remember till date is from the major subject matter experts that I've met, which I can't recall uh, which I can't recall all of them in a short span of time, but those compliments really stick because each word a subject matter expert, including Julie, has told, uh, it has made a very big impact on my life till date.
That's a lot of feedback. I'm more than glad to see that over your innovating career, you've seen many feedbacks across your innovations. Now, this is going to be our wrap-up question. How can our listeners follow your progress or get involved in supporting sustainable innovations like yours?
Yes, so the public can reach out to our tree club. That's there in uh, K4UT website, in the K4UT website. And so that is a major way they can contact us. And in addition, they can watch our tree videos with urban heat island effect, which is where heat gets trapped inside cities, to get inspiration on environmental stewardship and contact with us and maybe even join our club.
Well, You're welcome for the free advertising. Audience, if you're tuning into this, you can go to his website, as he just said, and definitely reach out to him. You will definitely not regret it. I know our listening audience has really enjoyed learning about your work. Learn more about this program or others by visiting innovationworld.org. Thank you for joining the Innovation World Young Collaborator podcast series. This is Sid signing off until next time.